I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. First item on the agenda this morning, Tony Phillips. We requested Tony come and just give us an update on the wind and solar regulations. So there you go, Tony.
All right, I really don't have anything to update, John. Do we have wind and solar regulations? Is there questions, or where are we going?
Do we need some revisions on some of the things that we originally started with? Is that a concern, or anything that's starting to show up?
Do we need revisions? I don't think we need revisions. There are some odd requirements in here that I've never really understood. And then there's one thing that I really don't like in here, but it was voted on. I don't vote.
This comes through the P&Z Commission for changes, correct?
All changes to the ordinance come through the P&Z.
What? And what? Yeah? Yeah, I said, that's your relative, why don't you talk to him?
You is.
It came about because they were talking about the neighboring counties were maybe trying to go together and adopt some
Uniform.
with the new battery storage facility down Lansing.
Okay.
So, just kind of, so where we were at, if anyone's approached us or if they be conform with other counties around us.
Yeah, so they wanted to do like a multi-county.
No, they just wonder if we, like, Elmkey, Howard, or Winneshiek, just everybody had a uniform
On the same page.
on the same page or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it amounted to.
What are the things that you don't like that you said?
Well, the thing that I really don't like in here is, so state law gives us an option. Well, the state law has a way of doing something. It's called what do they actually call this? The Solar Regulatory Board. If the county appoints the solar regulatory board, then the county is involved in all solar disputes. So two neighbors got a pissing match over shading somebody's solar, now the county's involved. If the county does not have any provisions for a solar regulatory board, then that just goes to district court. County's not involved. Okay. I never like the county being involved in more stuff than we need to be. The state has a plan to do it, let the state, let the judge do it, deal with it. But that's my opinion on that topic.
And that was put in there previously? We have that board now?
So yes, there's a line in here that appoints the Board of Adjustment as the solar regulatory board.
Again, I think we need to start with the P&C Commission on any of these questions, and that's where this sort of needs to originate.
Well, so there's several ways the ordinance can be changed, okay? A change can be initiated by the zoning administrator, the public, the board of supervisors, or the planning and zoning commission.
All with community knowledge.
Well, it's all public meetings and public hearings, so yes, community knowledge.
If I may, I think the point is that to let you know that the other counties are talking about this multi-county uniformity thing, to find out what we have, and maybe then we can send it to the other counties, and we can, if they want to get together, just be aware that they might want to, I don't know, so, the Howard doesn't even have zoning that do they?
I don't.
Yes, so Howard County does not have zoning in the unincorporated areas, and zoning cannot transverse county lines.
Right.
It is county specific, so I
know
don't know.
Key was there.
Maybe you have know your counterpart in Almaquee.
Yes,
Maybe you send them this and say, here, our board was asking about this, this is what we have. And
they already have it. It's on there. So.
Good. Yeah, I mean, that's,
And the only thing that's on your fee structure change is the adding of the fees for the floodplain review.
Yes, so I think we did that last week or the week before. Yeah, so we added the fees for the floodplain management permit. A couple of the other fees I upped a little bit. We haven't updated that fee schedule since 2015. That was the last one.
The wind is, our policy is the same, or? For wind energy?
For the fee?
No, for the regulations.
Well, we have actually one chapter for solar and one chapter for
Okay.
wind. But we did them at the same time.
If anybody in the public would like those, we can send them out. We have it as a PDF form from just those pages in the zoning ordinance. They're available. They're available online.
They're online.
Yeah, the complete zoning ordinance is online on the county website. It's a PDF.
Because I'm presuming they're looking at multiple ways of generating electricity from wind by bulb, and what they're looking into also.
Yeah, I think what a lot of places didn't have anything for that battery storage. That's something new.
We have no one has mentioned a proposal for that, other than Luther College, I'm guessing, in Winneshiek County.
As long as Luther does it in the city of Decorah, I do not care. And no, nobody else has asked about
I
it.
think Alliant did one of the Denham project up there.
There's one in the park
In
up
the
there.
back.
Yeah.
Big, not big, it's significant.
Anyone have any other questions for Tony?
no.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What do we have for consent agenda?
I just have minutes.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Is that a question mark?
That's cool.
I don't know who got that. I don't have
It
decided.
wasn't even the camera finish. It was just Mark.
We have a motion and a second
Let's mark it up.
to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
pass that for you to sign. I'll pass these around, you know, normally it's like trying to twist arms to get somebody, but you actually have 2 applications for the appointment on the Civil Service Commission, so I'll pass those around so you can review them. I got them over the weekend, so I didn't get them out to you ahead of time, so that's not on the agenda for a while, but that way you can all have a chance to look at them.
Any committee reports?
Policy board Thursday, and there's a TAP money grant of $171,000. Clayton County did not utilize it for different reasons, so now that goes back into the pool, and everybody else can apply for it now, use it. So, I think that's due June 14th or something, that reapplication for it. So other counties can apply for the TAP grant.
Was that statewide?
No, that's just
Our region.
our region.
Okay.
Yeah. The Northeast Iowa Transit, what you say, they got 6 new buses for 14 passengers and 2 18-passenger buses, I think.
It's not a committee necessarily, I guess, kind of. Steve and I, Steve called a meeting with John Lipke and Reggie and Scott Logston and Dave Ottawa. It was really a good meeting, talking about the rural waste. IT guys have put together a survey that will be handed out to users when they come in to fill out, and hopefully be able to collect license plate numbers and addresses, names and addresses, and match those up. And I think our goal is to find out if somebody's dropping something off, how many households are they dropping it off for, and how many residents are in each household, so you can kind of get an idea of the amount of waste and where it's coming from with that. And I think our goal is to maybe over 2 to 3 months collect this data and then kind of make a better decision about some of those things, rather than going with the software thing we had looked at last time.
Well, this will give us a database, but it wouldn't give us what we need for features as the software would on the financial side of things when we come to that point. But I think I'd like to see the board agree as a whole that we kind of start to move forward with it, because it wouldn't take about a week or so, because the only thing we have to do is put a flyer out. When the people come, we can hand them a flyer, and it's as simple as they can either, the person, the monitor can simply put in their license plate number, and the only thing we'd like to have from them is their name, their address, and their email and or cell phone number that allows us to be able to contact them if we need to in the future. Say we got a change, bad weather day, we're not going to be at site such and such. We can do all of those things, and it's all innocuous. But it gives us, from the GIS locate information, gives us the ability to track the sites, the timing, how frequent, all that data can be pulled out of the GIS system. And it's, Reggie, in a couple of hours, had the survey aspect of ours set up. And there's a QR code they can scan.
Here's
right there.
Here's a copy of what their potential questionnaire would look like, they hand out to people. The only thing we talked about adding was number in households, so we got an idea of number of residents that are using it overall in addition to households.
And then the monitor.
Well, it don't matter how many residents are using it, it's how many people that household that uses it.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, if you got residents in the house, only one person's gonna pay it. It don't matter how many residents are using it, it'd just be the household that.
Except it's like, well, the number of people in there, that matters. I mean, how many of our...
Well, another aspect is if we know the number of people in a household, the monitor could say, okay, he can log in his little tablet, that they deposited 5 bags. Or maybe they only 1 bag, there's 1 person. It gives us some kind of idea of volume that's also coming in.
There's a realistic, on-site problem with this though, is if you spend a few hours at just even the locus site, Russ is not gonna have time to enter this on a tablet while he's running back and forth to help people with their garbage.
A piece of paper is all.
The person enters it.
The person could enter it.
You sit on his tablet.
Well, potentially.
Yeah, they can scan that key, that takes them right to an entry scheme.
So but the person would do it,
The
not
person
us.
can do that.
They can do it on their cell phone, or they can fill out the paper one.
But he can track, he's already looking at their license plate, so he can always jot down, and when he's got a break, he can enter license plate numbers, if that's it. And the next time they come, they'll pop up in his system with just a license plate. And then they can catch up with it. But the idea is to get the database started.
Collect some data before you worry about how much the fees will be or when you're gonna start the fees from. You wanna start with some data.
So people will fill this in by hand over the next 2 to 3 months, those that wish to.
Can-
Those
yes.
that want to go through their phone can do the QR
Click.
code. It'll be a combo of the two. So they have an option of doing it hard copy and turning it into Russ. And then Russ will turn them into somebody here.
Or Russ has got, he's not gonna be busy all day long. I'm sure that in a full day that he's out here, he can add a few people.
If he's got a slow time, he could
He can
scan
scan.
each paper that's filled out by hand and put the information in, so it's eventually all gets in the database.
Was Russ at the meeting?
No.
Oh, who's gonna talk to you
Scott.
about this?
Scott and TJ, TJ was on a bus coming back from Washington DC, he couldn't be there.
So TJ will meet with Russ and go through all
They can meet all that and set it up. The sooner we get it, it's all implemented and set to go.
It's just it's a preliminary plan. Not everyone was at the table where probably needed to be because they weren't available. But I think it's a good start, and it would be something, it's not gonna happen in a month. It's gonna, over the course of a couple of months, we're trying to gather this many people in a system where we can keep track of what's going on.
Do all of our sites have good connectivity?
John said some of them are at the shops, they do. He just signed a new contract with US Cellular that will give us hotspots and he thinks people can do it.
At this point, John, it's only questions, I think, the Kendallville site and what was the one other mark?
Kendallville, there were two
Native Locust?
that were out away from, but one of them, the Kendallville, was near the shops, county shops, so they'd be able to have a transmitter on the
They
outside.
could pick up the
So if there is a tablet on site or a phone, it will automatically upload the data.
The other one would be the auction site.
Yeah, and they've got hotspots from their office. John has tablets available, which he's probably by this point already set up.
So he said it shouldn't be a problem to do it, and they wouldn't have to pass it on one tablet, they each have one available to take with them to the sites. And they wouldn't have to manually upload it, automatically just uploads to the cloud.
Well, I think it's a good starting point, and if it doesn't work this way, we'll
It's not
plenty
costing,
of time to change.
it's not costing us a lot,
Yeah.
and the funding is in place for the entire year, so I think ease our way into it, get better data about how many people and households are actually using it.
I think on
And where
this,
they're coming from, that'd be more important.
would it help on this form to say no fee is associated with this survey?
Yeah,
this registration?
that was John's first blush form right there, so, yeah. It just, I think an explanation paragraph at the first of it that explains what we're attempting to do is pretty simple.
Yeah, I think just talking with the monitors to make sure that they're explaining that this is just a survey, there's nothing.
No fee associated with it right now.
If anyone wants to look at this, I'll leave it over here.
Next on the agenda, Mike Kueny, County Engineer, road updates. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
The check's in the mail to DOT for W14, so.
Correct.
So that's the good news.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Mike was giving his report.
Yeah,
Going through the report here, contract rock is done most throughout the north and central part of the county. Staff is working with Burnings for the rest of the county. District 1 is on deck this week. I was going to go visit them today, I think.
Which is District 1, just so everyone knows.
It's the southeast portion near Osh and Castelia. Got the 107th to look at while I'm down there, so
Okay.
that's why it's notable as much as anything. We sent Bridge 317A on River Road and 313 near Ridgeway, out for letting. It's middle will be coming in next week.
Is that 317A, which one is that?
That's, you're putting in a railroad car bridge.
So we're having somebody else do that?
Well, we're gonna have, it's gonna be wet, but it's our railroad car bridge that we're putting in there. So, Breakville project is likely to start ahead of schedule. Pipe will be ordered by next week. We had mentioned last week we had some very favorable pipe bids, so that's, we're gonna put that on the to-do list. W14 ditch projects are ongoing. Shoulder fill has been sourced. We had about 5 or 6 different ideas, and I think we've narrowed it down to one now.
We can do some widening and use spoil, or we just are picking up outside fill.
We're picking up outside fill from a nearby farmer who wants to create a pond. He seems to know exactly what it is we want in terms of, we want the yellow clay and more workable soil. So, the only thing he's asking for in return is put rock on his driveway and clean up after ourselves a little bit. So that's a pretty good deal.
That's a good option. That sure beats buying it from the brewing.
But yeah, there was a little bit of, Brewing's had a good price, but we were not sure about the quality that we would get because we don't want to have it be real rocky or anything. So that was a concern of ours more than it was paying Brewing's, but it was really the concern. And this is actually a shorter haul distance. It's just good in almost every direction. So that worked out very nicely. I just signed an agreement on Friday for the new GPS for all the fleet. That situation is we have a current system that's obsolete, so we had to do it by the year. And they're pushing, we went through a couple different vendors and looking at different vendors. Verizon's the one we have already, and what really sold me on the Verizon was that they would install everything on them. I mean, most all the pricing was competitive across the board, except that they offered to do that. It's gonna, because we have one of our shop foremen who's retiring, he's out, we're down, shop crew, so it was pretty important that we get that put in. So
What does that cost a year for that?
per year, currently we're spending about $1,200 a month on it. I think it'll be about we're going to reduce that to about $1,083 per month. I remember, I went off of memory, but rough numbers.
Somebody must have had their wires crossed. The figure I heard it was $110,000 a year. I thought, oh,
No.
they must have had a zero in the wrong place in their calculation.
Something like
Right,
that.
then what it was. They
We are
said 1,000, they had 10,000 or something.
as part of that 1,083, we're looking at putting some cameras, getting 2 cameras. I'm not sure how to use them, but they're relatively inexpensive, and the way that every vendor has sold them to us is it protects the crew. I'm a little bit leery of that. I think that that's one of those things where I kind of want to see how it works, and just, I want to protect our crew's interests as much as possible and making sure that the cameras are there to protect them, because it kind of becomes a privacy issue.
Yep.
So I'm playing it slow on that to look out for them, but I do want to make sure that we're not behind expectations on that. So looking at how that will work and how it might benefit us.
Are you gonna try try 2 cameras first, is that?
Yeah, 2 cameras and then see how it might, so when, you know, maybe in the future we put it on blades and see your blade, you know, I don't know how that's gonna all work with the new information age and, you know, our website and things like that.
It would-
Public outreach.
The idea being that it's maybe something like law enforcement having a dash cam, so that,
That's one situation,
so
but
that, you know, if afterwards someone says, this blade operator did this, you would have evidence then to say that this is how it happens.
that's why we have the GPS. But in this case, it seems to be that they're used to we'll call it, see bad behavior on crew. I'm a little bit leery of, you know, oh, they didn't do this right or that right. I kind of want to have a
So
resource.
are the cameras pointed inside watching the operator, or are they pointed outside watching the,
Both.
oh,
So you can do or either, I'll say. We have optionality on all of that. So,
I definitely could see more advantage of the
Dash.
watching them out, because if someone claims, well, that blade operator sideswiped my car or whatever.
yeah,
Then
we're
you
looking
have-
at how best be used. So we're just
Yeah,
using
that's why you're
two at a
doing 2 to try.
and it's just
Yep.
net on that we have a lower bill. It just trying to, you know, we got, I call it new toys here to figure out how to implement here.
How are you gonna figure out who the lucky ones are that
I-
can? Draw them out of a hat?
Well, you know,
Volunteers, maybe.
maybe it's volunteered, or maybe if, you know, someone's not getting as much done as someone else, I might say, hey, what's going on here, or something like that, so.
Has any other county in the 6-county region tried using the camera aspect or along with GPS?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't reached out on it. A lot of that is, hey, you know, I talked to John and said, we need to kind of get this figured out, and I know that we need a GPS. So when the prices came back, then I said, we should probably look at doing this. And I'll reach out to, you know, Roman and Nick and Brian and Casey. And then, you know, after I talk to them, I'll talk to the state as a whole.
Roman may be honeymoon.
Yeah, I heard about that this week, and I heard some grass. So, yeah, I heard it was a good time.
I could hear it all night.
Bridge crew is we're right in the heart of the bridge crew season. They were in Pasadena last week, this week. The bridge, the dilapidated bridge in New Township that I think Shirley visited, we're gonna be looking at taking that down next week. Need an owner's signature, so if he's paying attention, please come in. We're working with our solutions software and our remaining maintenance shop guys and our office staff to streamline and fine-tune our parts inventory management. We kind of did it paper and pencil way, and now we're trying to digitize everything with new personnel. We picked up a new purchase that had been on order for a while. It's getting picked up today. Bridge 5 pre-construction meeting is pending. The notable thing here is kind of expected to have it already. The contractor that is supposed to be doing it, like the rest of the county, is fighting weather, and they're also fighting a key personnel illness. So we're a little bit eyes and ears open for that as they come, as we approach the late start date. So we'll have to have that coming up. The maintenance shop foreman opening has been closed. closed as of Friday. We have a fantastic candidate that will, in all likelihood, get the job. The decisions are forthcoming on how the maintenance shop will run after his resumed after his presumed.
Is this an internal candidate?
It is.
So we'd be looking for somebody else?
We'll be looking for somebody else to jump. Yep. So, what else? I looked into the invasive species on Golf Course Road. There was 4 in the Phillips. I think that might have been the source. The roadside manager said that he was in contact with Mr. Baker, and the species looks to be dying. So after the being sprayed, 107th, and dust control operations are ongoing. I've been working with the operators there. And the speed study on Middle Hesper. Talked to the sheriff's department. They don't have any speed guns, but we still need to figure. You and I need to figure out what speed it is you're targeting there.
I don't know what it was before.
It was 50. It's the 55, 50, 55 at the day, 50 at night is the standard if there's no postings. But because we have to talk about increasing, we'll have to justify that in the speed study. But if you have a targeted range for the dust control based off of, that would be helpful. So
Yeah, I don't know, they just, everybody goes 45 or 50 anyway, the guy said, so.
yeah. So if you want me just to do a speed study, that's
Yeah.
fine. Our sheriff's department does not have speed guns, so I'm gonna have to source those probably from another county. That's what I'm gonna have to do.
I don't know if you have it in that, yeah, just, because everybody goes 45 or 50, they said anyway, and
Yeah,
on the upper, I don't know where Middle Hesper starts there coming.
And is that an okay speed limit then?
I mean, that's, the people that called me, that's what, because they asked the road superintendent, well, he said everybody drives 45, 50 anyway, and, well, that ain't the principle, the guy said it's, the speed limit's only 25.
Yeah, right.
So you can pay my speeding ticket if I get one?
45, you think would be?
I would say 45 would be a pretty,
And obviously, if we're getting different data that suggests that we need to be 40, that's all fine.
yeah, 40,
Right.
45, instead of 25 is pretty, that's a long stretch.
That's a
up
pretty-
there at 25 miles an hour.
Correct.
Aren't there printed regulations on how to arrive at speed limits on our roads through the DOT? Is there any resource, like traffic count, curves, sight distance, things like that?
There are, but on gravel, on secondary roads, my understanding is
Nothing.
that there's nothing's posted.
I mean, it's a pretty open, straight road with
Yeah,
a long.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah,
increase.
it's,
My understanding from previous years back was that the idea is that you do the speed study and say, here's what we're seeing, and then that's where the board is supposed to arrive at their number. Not that the board should say, we think it should be this, and then,
It gets
That's
you
true, but
like
that's
that.
not how we arrive at 25.
that's true.
yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, that's
What's the
why.
history? How did it arrive at 25 on this section?
I think
It was dust complaints from that.
From the,
Waddell Quarry, yes.
yeah, to the, but that, you go up further, then they just put that whole road over with
Yeah,
it.
they extend.
They kind of went maybe over further than they needed to. for
Yeah.
the
They just
control.
did it that way and never looked back at it.
Yes, so you're right then, but in this case, it got moved down without any study at all because of
Yeah.
the dust control issue. So,
Do those portable units, like on wheels, they park along the road, do they record data?
I talked to Nick and we would use his and he would record the data, but we still wanna get, we'd still wanna manage the speeds on that.
If you have the sign there saying there's speed, that's gonna affect their
There, yeah.
driving, where
Yeah,
you
you
want
just
to
need
get
something
a
that-
true study of what people actually
Yes,
drive.
they do drive, yeah.
I think is the idea.
What do you do, cover the sign, you get a true picture without the influence of the sign?
Again, I would have to read up the process. I'm mostly just trying to make sure that I keep putting one foot in front of the other on this. So, rather than knowing all those details.
I mean, you can cover the speed sign with something if you're just gonna get data on how fast everybody's going, they don't have to see that.
And if they're already traveling 40, 45, they're gonna, this is something we can revisit multiple times over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So,
I think that would be nice to do, record some data and then also leave it
Yeah,
public
yeah.
for a while so people can see.
See it.
Well, here's what you
Yep. Yep.
Trace any of the traffic counters,
What's that?
those traffic counters?
That's the one that we borrowed from Howard County.
There you go.
You had reported here a month ago that there were some that you were thinking about getting, the counters that.
The counters?
That you bury in the road.
Right, there was, and then you guys told me about Howard County.
Yeah.
And so that's the idea is that I talked to,
Oh, you might borrow theirs
Borrow
to see
theirs.
how it works before you buy anything. Yep,
Okay.
that's a good idea.
so
On Happy Hollow there, on the 2 properties, can the guy take that easement back to the old easement? How would that work? So they get, I mean, you're talking 50 feet, some of them are 50 plus feet from the middle of the road, up into their fields.
So.
It'd be on the east side of the road, the 2 properties.
There are 2 properties on the east side of the road that are,
They bought an easement, extended easement or something from them back in maybe the 80s to do raise that road up, I think is what it was. Can they go back to the old 30-foot
well,
easement
that's,
right away? Or-
we established a survey using that 30 feet.
But you can't be out that far out in the field if you're 30 feet from the middle of the,
That's, yes, we're 30 feet there.
not from the middle of the road.
From the middle of the center line of the road, if
If you go from the center of that road, some of them are 50-some feet out from the center of the road.
Some of what?
the property.
On the road, the properties,
The
the
property.
right-of-way stakes.
And I'm gonna assert that, I think that if
If
we
you
need
go
to
30
measure, if we need to go measure it to make sure that they're 30 feet, I would say let's go do that, because.
From the center of the travel part of the road.
Not from the center of the.
Yeah, you'd have to go by that, otherwise that road cuts through a guy's property, it splits his property, so we're only 30 feet on both sides once you go past that.
So at the north side of Happy Hollow Road, it starts to curve. And so where it
Yeah.
starts to curve, the center line, as determined by recorded plat, starts to veer into the west side of the road. So it's no longer roughly centered there. So therefore, roughly where the corner post of the old fence line is the property line, plus or minus a foot, I'll say. And then that runs south as a 30-foot offset, all the way to the,
Madison.
that runs south in a straight line all the way to Madison. The center line does, but the difference there, the pieces, and I didn't come with the recorded document there, but for the northern property, that whole northern property is a 30-foot offset for that easement. The southern property had a survey done by a private consultant, and we found discrepancies there. And their discussion is around a 50-foot easement buyout by the county. they are also farming the right-of-way there. I've had communications with that landowner about coming whole on the previous consultant's, call it error, and we'll just acknowledge
But if
the
we just go off,
intent of that survey.
when all the other right-of-ways are 30 feet off the center of the road, I mean,
But,
isn't that what you go with?
so,
I
it
mean,
sounds like the center of the road isn't necessarily the actual center of the road, because the road is geared.
The survey,
I think it's the county surveyor's job, and I think the bottom line should be that it's their job to tell us where the right-of-way line is. And if we have more right-of-way than you need, you could vacate some. But that's something that Michael then would have to say.
I mean, that's what,
But you don't just, the surveyor, it's true that the roads can move within the right-of-way, so you don't necessarily go from the center of the physical road, you go from the center of what the right-of-way that was purchased. Yeah.
It sounds like the road is actually kind of geared.
It hasn't really veered that much. The issue is, this was almost run out of connection, but it's something like this.
And this is something you could probably, if you're interested, go to the engineer's office and they can show you the actual.
Where's Madison Road?
This is heavy.
Yeah, but where
If
is
Madison's
Oh,
on the bottom.
Madison's right here, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the part that I've been in touch with this landowner here, and this is the part where there's some contention. And so, the actual road starts to turn right here. So we have, this looks a lot deeper. So that's the situation, as best as I can understand what's going on that. As far as everything that's happened, that's the best I can say it.
but can we, I mean, could you narrow, so they get 20 feet of their original land back? Can a guy narrow that to the south end? Can you just go a 30 foot from the pin instead of 50?
We're not going 50 feet.
Yeah, you are, right here.
That's on the southern property,
Yeah, that's what I mean, southern properties.
The southern properties, if they want that, they did not request that on, was it Thursday or Friday? Now, if they want to request that, I would work with our surveyor on that, for sure.
We have to vacate it.
We would have, yeah, it would be a vacate.
That's what I was wondering how we go about doing, if we wanted to, if they, because what the,
Where it's 50, you could vacate, but that would, usually you don't vacate just by whim, they have to request it first.
They would request it, yes.
Okay,
I told
okay.
the landowner, I think it was on Friday or either Thursday or Friday, that to please come in and we
that was
have,
probably, you know, that problem.
Where's this current fence in relationship to that?
there is no fencing. The whole issue is seeing they were putting in fiber lines and it's like, well.
But there is a corner post down here that comes, this, right here, this corner post there is.
Who originally drew the 50 feet out?
50 feet out was a standard, and I don't know who it was, but it's a standard offset from the center line, given certain circumstances.
Did they do that when they redid the Madison Road?
Okay.
What, 20 years
Well,
ago?
Exactly.
I did, Did they raise that one time back?
Not that I remember.
But when they redid the Madison.
But maybe when they redid the Madison.
Oh,
they
that's where they took
anticipated-
Phil. They said they took Phil off there.
That might be what they
That's why
did.
in the 50-foot
They
easement,
bought
they took
it.
Phil off.
And at that time, they would have had to buy that. So they bought that 50 foot is paid for at that time. You would have to buy.
The easement, or
Yeah, you would have bought right of way.
Right
So
of way.
now if you decide to vacate it, you're giving it back.
back, yeah.
Because that valley below is where they filled in,
Yeah.
so it's not.
Not quite as, yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
not-
I mean,
But they would have to come in and
right.
request that, okay.
They would come in and request it.
That's my question.
Or could they buy it back from us?
Well, I had asked about.
It's their land anyway.
No.
No.
Yes, it is.
No,
We paid for the
The
easement.
right, the easement, the easement is, just the easement, not the land.
Well, you
It's
have to
just
see what's
easement.
recorded on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is you have a conversation with Mike on this, and.
No, that's what I want to know, what the process is.
Yeah, no, they-
How details, how they go about it, if you want.
I had asked that exact question as to whether or not they should just buy it, and it's usually a vacation. is the answer.
Vacation, yeah.
So,
If it's their land, we just have these.
We purchased right away.
Yeah.
so,
Okay,
That
that answers that.
now that we're talking about surveying, we're surveying out on
Well-
42.
yeah, actually the intern went out there and are working with Mike on that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're getting started on the project for a couple years from now, so.
What'll that be, 28?
28 is,
28.
Okay,
fiscal year 28 is the hope.
3 years.
All right. Anyone have anything else for Mike?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
And if you want to talk to Mike afterwards.
Yeah, no, I just want to know what the process.
Yeah,
If he probably talked to you too, and
we did talk about that, so yeah,
it was on Friday when he called me in the morning.
perfect.
Catch you for a minute after we're meeting here, is that right, Mike?
Absolutely.
Well, we have a little bit of time to try and squeeze in the miscellaneous items. First of all, in miscellaneous, we have appointment to the Civil Service Commission. We have 2 applicants. Did everyone get a chance to read it?
They both look good. I think this one is a little bit more professional, and the references are not this is family references, and these are professional references. That stood out to me right away.
I had an opportunity to have a conversation with Locke, and she's pretty,
That's what I was.
she's the opinion that was been here for a lifetime.
I think the other one has been too. They
She's
farm
served
here,
on the school board too.
and she served on the school board for a number of years. She has a lot of
I
experience
know that
based
she's
on this
worked with federal and state
regulations.
regulations for different jobs she's had, which I thought was important.
It's a flip of the coin if you ask me. They're both good candidates.
Well, if you look at experience alone on federal and state regulations and the references, to give references from your family is a little different than professional references. That stood out to me just looking at these quick. I wouldn't give family as references for a position of any kind. I would give professional references, people I've worked with, people I've been in business with. I mean, family's always going to be a good reference. I would hope.
Not always.
Well, you wouldn't get
Anything
wrong
you listed, it went, hopefully, yeah. The other ones you might ignore.
Like I said, the varied
Just fun.
groups and organizations,
Yeah.
and like I said, the federal and state and local, the one candidate is bringing to the table, I think is valuable.
Yeah, I'm in favor of Locke because I've had the conversation, she's got good, solid sense and long history, and she's been involved with, community, in healthcare and all the rest of that, so. For us, that's my value.
Would we bring both of them in and talk to them now? If we haven't talked to one, but have not talked to the other,
I
then
think that's what the applications are for.
I've never interviewed anyone for a appointment to a board or commission, but I mean, that's
So I
up to
think
you.
going off, one stands out. Not, they're both qualified, but one stands out with better qualifications.
I think there is a difference in qualifications if you just take them at face value, reading through it quickly. I mean, we were just presented these today. But reading through these at face value right now, if I were hiring in a position, there's one that's definitely more qualified professionally and experience-wise than the other. I mean, it's very clear here. To me. Did you get a chance to read through
I
both?
did.
Did you all get a
I
chance to
nominate
read through both?
Mary Yacht.
I'd second that.
Have a motion and a second to nominate Mary Ott. Is there any further discussion?
I do want to discuss more. I'm just trying to do this really quickly. Should we table this for a week so we have more time to read these? Because
We have a motion.
we just saw these.
Read the resume.
All right,
Well, based
so
on
I'm gonna,
resume, the one
right,
stands out better than the other.
it does.
Like I said, they're both qualified.
Good opinion.
You're wrong, but
The references on this one are Mike Kaluska, Steve Chambliss, and Mark House, superintendent and board member of school, and she was on the board. Where is this?
yeah.
School board for 12 years. 3 of those as the chair of the board. And this is retired clinical nurse, active church greeter and backup keyboard player. Enjoy our acreage, gardening, yard work, splitting wood, woodworking. This is, so it says place of employment. Currently engaged in farming with my family. I served on the Decor School Board for 12 years, 3 of those years as chair. I have a degree in social work and have worked for Community Action Agency, Iowa Department of Human Services, and UI hospitals and clinics. I have many years of experience in administration.
You got
Their
the,
public knowledge, public can read them if they want.
Well, we work for the county, for everybody in the county. When I look at the qualifications of both, there's a distinct difference here.
in your opinion, you're right, Chipper, in your opinion.
Well, we can say the same about the other one too, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's it.
It's just, you consider it arguable.
Based off of experience, one would go with one over the other.
And they're- the
Mary
civil-
was the first applicant.
The Civil Service Commission, just so the audience knows, most people don't know what they do. They help test and interview or go over the candidates for deputy sheriff. They work with Dan Marks. Lenny Graves is the other one, and I think Jeremy Thompson out of Putnam Law Office is the third one. Teresa Bachman is retiring from the commission, and she had experience from the courthouse as recorder, correct? So there's a lot of professional experience on that board right now. And just to match that professional experience, I think one does match better than the other.
The other has professional experience besides.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
For the county's interest, nay.
I would agree.
All right, Andy?
It's up to you.
I would just like to note, because I've taught business and typewriting for many, many years at Iowa State, that when people were advised on writing or putting together a resume, one of the things they were strongly advised not to do was to ever use family members as references. I find it very disturbing that what is common sense in the business world is being ignored completely at this meeting.
Let me address this to you, Matt. I owned personnel agencies for 18 years and had many employees. I understand your position. I also have the benefit of interviewing the candidate just because I heard that she had applied, and so I wanted to know who she was. And so it's not just complete a snap decision. And so we made a motion, and she was selected by a vote of 3-2.
did everybody on this committee, on commission, have a chance to interview the candidates? So
That's
you are the only one in this privileged position.
I'm not privileged.
It is, I mean, were they given the opportunity? Because from what I've heard, the applications were passed out at this meeting, and these people are seeing this for the first time. You had the position or the opportunity that others did not. That's sort of, that doesn't sound good, doesn't play well to the public.
That's your opinion.
That's your opinion, ma'am.
Well,
We didn't put the application. This is an opening on a civil service, non-paid commission.
We did not see these names till today.
yeah, I know, I think it's a real ethics
No,
problem.
who knew these names before today? Steve knew the name before today? Did you know
I
one?
heard over the weekend.
I knew today the two applicants. That's why I hurried and
That's
looked
what I
through them.
wrote to. All
So,
right,
you're right.
It's done. Andy, what do you got
It's done
for
and
us?
it's max, it stinks.
Please.
I don't have anything for you. One thing that I'm looking into is Smith Building Insurance. That was an issue that got brought up to me a week or so ago. And I need to reach out to ICAP. I think there's a possibility there. So that's in the works.
Okay.
It seems to me that they do some nonprofit interests, reviews them.
I know they had one
Fire
other,
training,
they had one other applicant or company that had,
you know.
yeah.
And then the other thing that we can look at is whether there's a way that the county can maintain an insurable interest in the property is through either one of its tenants there or it would not be a long-term solution to the sale of the contract.
Their deal is they gotta show, if they get grant money to fix the building, they gotta show insure bill or that they have insurance, that's their
And that's
big
right.
beef.
That's what I'm thinking, ICAP might be an option,
Okay,
because since who's insured it now.
yeah. Okay.
And I think that just to keep on the radar, so Andy knows and the board has discussed this, but they would like to be able to say, give any action, a deadline, and say.
I said maybe
July 1 or
July
something.
1 for yes or no, and then you got
And
60
then
to
the
90.
board can know how to proceed after that.
Yeah.
That might not be realistic.
No, but I just
But at least it's,
said,
yeah.
I just gave it a, that's, we were talking anyway, you know.
Sure.
It's probably a good idea just to keep the
Keep
ball
it in the
rolling.
front and center.
Yeah. And I, you know, with Barry on Aging, they didn't renew their lease, and how long do they have?
You gave them a notice of termination like a month and a half ago, but so I think they
I
have,
think it's, I have to look for sure, I think it's
Six.
like mid-June sometime or
Oh, okay.
mid to late June.
Because I told, Northeast Iowa Community Action that maybe we would have 5 offices there, and if we could see a Smith building, if they only needed 1 floor, if we might be able to help them out if they would split up, if a couple of, if the Smith building didn't work for them or something.
Where are we with the appeal situation?
There have been some talks back and forth. Reluctant to talk about those in an open meeting when there's pending litigation. There are, Peel made a proposal that needs some clarification, and I can pass that along to you at that point.
Do we know where Northeast,
I can tell you what he said, that there's some loose ends in it that it's not even being more helpful to you than it is to me at this stage. As presented.
do we know where Northeast Iowa Agency on Aging is going?
The old Walmart building.
So they're staying in the county.
You don't have anything else for Andy? Looks like good to go. Thank you.
Thanks.
jump back up, discuss long-term plan for the maintenance department. Now, I believe John has some ideas too.
Yeah, we have probably
I-
postponed until next week.
I asked him if he wanted me to postpone it until next week, and he said, because he's delivering election equipment for me right now, but he said that's okay that he didn't need to, so he opted not to, so.
I would like his feedback on what's going on, so I swung in to talk to him this morning, and he was out delivering your ballot machines.
But it was Mark Foley who asked that I put this on here, and I don't know if you have any discussion you want to make, or if you want to just wait, or.
I know we talked about, obviously, we bantered back and forth about, we have a private entity doing maintenance at the community services building. We have an opening here, long-term, if we divest ourselves of the Smith building, which he is doing maintenance with John's doing maintenance with. Is there some reconfiguration of what his obligations are? And then how do we do that? And so, rather than hiring now a full-time person, he has the option of 2 summer interns. I think we need to have a better discussion about
I think the idea
how
of
that's gonna look. And
having the discussion today is before he, I mean, you're gonna
Hire
work with
someone.
him to hire someone, but you don't wanna hire someone and then turn around a month from now and say, oh, well, we don't need a full-time person.
Because
Usually that's what you hire.
But he'd also talked about having some of the
Mhm.
interns that would get us through the summer anyway, so we can have more long-term discussion about not hiring somebody and then laying them off.
How many applicants did we have?
I didn't check before the meeting, but when I looked on Thursday evening, there was like 6 or 7 for the full-time, 2 that were willing to take a part-time position, and then 2 that were summer only. They were high school students.
We have the options there to do.
So I think John, my understanding when I talked to him Thursday afternoon before I put the agenda out was that he thought that there was one of the part-time people that was viable, that if they could, and so that maybe you aren't looking at committing to a person, but he wanted to, he's gonna work with you, I guess, to kind of figure out what the next step is. So it's maybe some direction to give Steve to, I think my understanding of the board's total opinion is maybe we don't want to get a full-time person at least like by the end of this week, because there may be changes coming, so.
I think the Smith building issue changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
As far as, that's a lot of responsibility that's not required anymore.
Well, should we put this on the agenda for next week, and then maybe we can get the information we need from John too? See
Yeah, I
what his
think we should.
ideas are?
I think it's a good idea to go ahead and let's just table it till next week.
And maybe between now and then, you and he can look through the applicants and you know what kind of pool of people you even have to work with. I think the board is probably willing, if he wants to get the summer people on as soon as possible, that he can start, especially since right now they are still covering the Smith building. That's what he's worried about is until we get rid of that, he's got more duties that he can handle. So that's why I think he wanted to get the summer people as soon as possible.
I think consensus is though that it's not a full-time person for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer positions, those work out well right now, but we're only dealing with a couple of months, so.
Do you want me to tell him that he can work if one or two, both of them, he wants to get them going, he can, and then
Do a part-time as an intern or.
and then between now and next Monday, you can discuss whether for the permanent position, but not to make any commitment to a permanent position until you've met with him next week.
This is nothing on the community services building for updates.
I talked to DHS up there, and they have 11 staff working over there, and they need like a break room and a conference room. So I was gonna call back, talk to her, just to see if if they're only using the upstairs, if they get by with using the upstairs, if something didn't work for community action down here, if they would, could lease the downstairs and part of the Spectrum building to them or something, if that would work. Split them up into two.
Lease.
Or we could rent space from community action. for
Yeah,
public health.
for public health.
Put them up there.
So they don't think there's room down here, or you haven't really talked about?
I haven't, well, it's.
Well, that all kind of depends upon what public health is gonna need. That's another big hinging factor right now.
Yeah,
Because
otherwise it could. With 11 spaces and there's break room, there's conference room. Yeah, so I mean, it's.
They don't need 11 full.
well, there's plenty of room.
Plenty of room.
Cubicles.
Let staff get cubicles, yeah.
So
So
there
it
are 5
could
offices
be
there.
So that's
a couple that we could get. Comfortable on.
So I think with looking at what we have and presenting them with the proposal and say, will this work for you? It would be the way to go rather than, otherwise they're gonna say we need 11 offices and break room and whatever. It's like
Well, that's what they need, that's what she said they need.
individual offices.
Well,
She said they have 11 staff.
So they all need their office with the door on it.
I'm not 100% sure, she just, yeah, that's what they have.
That's what we just find out.
I don't
I
know.
think the other way to
She
make
got
those
it.
assumptions.
It's a new lady that's in charge.
She got back to you relatively quick.
Yeah.
didn't she?
So you can maybe contact her again and
I called
see
her.
if there's a way
She
to
was right back.
come look at the
She's the new
CSB.
Yeah, just got a new,
Can't hear.
She's positioned here in Decorah,
no,
the one in Dubuque.
no. I'm not sure what town she's in. I didn't ask her.
The one you talked with at budget time on the Zoom or electronic meeting was from Davenport.
Davenport, this gal is not from this year's,
This is a different person than that. Okay.
yep. It's a, oh, she got the position. We're very listening to, I mean, yeah, very,
Is she willing to come up to a meeting?
I haven't talked to her.
I think we
Wow.
should get it.
What is her name?
I got it wrote down at home, I can't.
You don't know her name?
I didn't write, I don't have it, I talked to her, I can't remember what it was, I wrote it down at home. So I got her phone number and stuff, I'll just call her back and, just ask her, see if we can set up a time.
See if there's some way she or someone from the staff could look at the community service building and see if
Yep.
it would work and how much they would need, and then compare that to what Krista needs and see if there's a way. Because that's what the ultimate goal would be, to have them both in there completely, but if it isn't gonna work, we just need to know
Because
that.
there's a lot of room in that straight room coming in now that Spectrum wouldn't need,
Yeah.
they wouldn't need that whole.
You know, Department of Human Services deals with a lot of confidential, sensitive information through their cases. So I think that to get them at the table and ask them what their needs are is better than us assuming anything about what their needs are.
So you get back a hold of her.
I'll go get over
And
it.
see if there's a possibility if they can come and look at what we have. See whether it's gonna work.
Yep.
Kind of go from there. The next thing, I think Ben's looking for someone to.
Oh, next Tuesday, yes,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday, so yeah, with
Good canvas.
yeah, election canvases now, yeah. They can't be, the earliest they can be is noon on Mondays, and that is sometimes pushing it if we happen to have any ballots that need to be, they need to be added later, so that's why we do it on
You're
Tuesday.
10 a.m. Tuesday?
9:30 a.m. Tuesday,
9:30?
if that works.
That's fine.
I think Mark said he couldn't be here, and,
I said I can.
yeah, is there at least two?
I can
Okay, good.
And just a quick note, for voters for the fall, Secretary of State's page, and I don't know, I haven't checked your page yet, but Secretary of State's page said that ballots need to be turned by 8 o'clock on the day of elections, but that's changed, correct? They did not change it. Great.
And even the proposal to change that wouldn't have gone into effect this year.
Until,
Yeah. It was the proposal that did not pass the legislature was not going to affect this cycle anyway, so. But it didn't pass, so.
What is on our ballot?
I was gonna say, is there any contested races?
For right now, we're voting for the primary, and there are no contested races. So, and there's Democrat ballot, Republican ballot, and Libertarian ballot. The Libertarian ballot is blank. There are no names on it, it's only write-ins. We haven't had anyone vote that ballot yet.
and Democrats and Republicans can write in people on their ballots.
Yeah, anyone can write in people on ballots, yes. The Republican ballot has at least one name in every slot. The Democrats do for U.S. Congress and Shirley's race, but they don't have any for the other races, so. As easy as the low turnout will be, it actually makes it more work for my coworkers because they have to go through all those write-ins at the end of the night, so that'll be.
How many votes have you had come in so far? Not votes, how many people?
Yeah, about 30. So it is, yeah, that's all that's been early votes, so I don't anticipate it.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, it'll be a slow day, but
And
yes.
people go to their polling place?
The regular
for the
polling places,
primary.
during a primary, all polling places are open. We will have I got a notice from the school district last week. They're having a special election in September for a school district for their, it's called revenue purpose statement. It's for the state money that's generated from the 1 cent sales tax for schools. So how they can spend that money, so that revenue purpose statement, they have a special election that'll be in September for that. And that's a special election, so I'm hoping that election just have one polling space and have it here.
And that's just for Decorah.
Just for Decorah. Yeah.
School district.
Yeah. Howard Wynn and Southwind did special elections 2 years ago for their revenue purpose statements. So those have to come up every so often just to reestablish what they spend that money on.
Mr. Chair, can I ask you to tune your ear to the discussion on the board? There were numbers of people speaking at the same time. And you as the chair have responsibility to have one person speak at a time. That is part of the hearing process in this meeting. I'd appreciate your attention to that.
Sorry about that.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
I'll be here for office hours again today in the annex.
So about noon maybe? Not later
Yeah.
than noon?
And I can go over the corner for you to set up.
I'll do some setup, but I'm not planning to come over until afternoon.
Okay, I'll stay here till noon.
It's a point place, yeah. When it's a big election, I get these big tables out here, and so that